The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. Health is complex, and men's health is complicated by a variety of factors that include biology, behavioural choices, and peer pressure, says Kenton Boston, the president of the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. According to Boston, one of the biggest challenges is a stoic mentality. He says, "Suck it up" is a phrase all too familiar to men, but it's one that can lead to severe mental and physical health challenges. Despite decades of efforts to change the suck it up narrative, stereotypes persist. Boston says breaking down resistance to seeking help requires a patient, consistent message. A message confirming men and their health matter to the people who love them. Heart disease, cancer, and a host of other organ issues are concerns for both women and men. Boston notes, however, for men, mental health and suicide are two major concerns that men tend to face alone. Stigma, judgment, masculinity norms, denial, and a lack of male-friendly healthcare are cited as reasons why men prefer to keep their mouths shut about their health. I invited Kenton Boston of the Canadian Men's Health Foundation to join me for a conversation that matters about men and their well-being. Kenton, welcome.
Thank you.
As one man to another, I appreciate the fact that we are having this conversation, that we're saying, you know, it's okay for me to say, I worry, I'm concerned, I have this niggling little thing, or there's something that's bothering me. But even still, okay, you're encouraging me to start to say it. I also need to have a guy on the other side of the conversation equation who's willing to hear it.
Yeah, it's true. One of our founders often will come up with a comment that says, if my toilet was plugged right now, I could pick up my phone and have 5 people come here with tools within minutes. If I pick up the same phone to say, I don't feel well, I'm not sure, should I be here? The phone would be, oh, I don't hear you. Sorry, I lost you. What's that? Sorry. And
bang, 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 we got a bad connection.
He'd be there alone, yeah. And so it's true. We could laugh about it, but I also know from my own experience, it's probably a little true.
It's hard to turn it around. It absolutely is, like, very, very hard to turn it around.
It's brutal. I have had my own health challenges. I have regular cancer scans, which I get into my calendar, but the blood work, do you think I would follow that? You would think so, but it's a challenge because I get busy. I have family commitments, and those become often the impediment to doing what you know you should do. And it's not just me. As I have the conversations and talk to our users, we hit 2 million users in 2024. Of those 2 million, the number of times I could have this conversation with our users, kind of our clientele, up to our sponsors, is remarkable. And that's all swaths of men. It's not blue collar or white collar, CEOs, or people that clean the floors. And that's kind of the astonishing part, and it's a little reassuring, if I could say that, because, you know, we go through life and we're individuals. I'm my own person, you're your own person, those people are their own people. And yet the science, as I learned this, I don't come from a medical background, the science is the same. The DNA and how we're built, it's our interpretation that is different. And as easy as that is to understand, imagine trying to talk to you and to me, saying the same words with the same sentiment and same emotion. I can guarantee you're probably going to get a different take than what I get. And what's the most reflective or the real part of that conversation? That's kind of the jam and what the Canadian Men's Health Foundation is focusing on. How do we get the message out to really arm people and give them the information and the support? And we're just coming out of a big campaign in the springtime, and it's the basics of mental health, and it says, you're not alone. And sometimes we get into the conversation and it's tied to the medical system, it's tied to what I need to do or should do, or my wife or my daughter or my parent says do this. And sometimes it just means start talking. And that's the basics, and we're really trying to get that message out to people. It's that simple and that hard, but start talking.
Oh, okay. So you interestingly said, you do blood work, get all these things, okay, maybe I don't get it done because I got busy. Is part of that you go, well, I can't let that get in the way of the stuff that is really important that I'm supposed to do, because that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, nobody's going to forgive me for not doing this because I went to go get blood work.
Yeah.
And it's just transferable from blood work to I need to talk to somebody about how my brain is working.
Yeah, it's true. Twofold on that. Yes, it's true. There's also a belief, I think, inherent in a lot of us that we will be fine. We're not going to get sick. I'm not sick. And I think for me, even now, after what I've gone through, there's that constant reminder, you're good, you're good. You don't need to worry, you're healthy, look at what you've done. And so that's the other part of it. And then the final part, so maybe it's 3 points, is kind of the role of the medical system. You know, we are an organization that's really dealing in prevention, and it's trying to get ahead of the curve, get you out of the realm of going to hospitals and the medical system, that's another conversation. So how can we work in the prevention space? But I don't know from you, but how many doctors will call you into the office to talk about how things are going? How much lettuce are you eating? Sleep, maybe? How's the exercise going? And yet, you know, our organization is built on, those are the basics of avoiding the 70% of the chronic diseases that people get are sleep more, eat better, and exercise. That's it.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. Getting that message out, very challenging, especially in stressful times. And I think that we are living in far more stressful times than I'm at times willing to admit.
Yeah.
Because I go, no, life is getting better. And now I'm starting to go, well, no, I'm not so sure that it is.
Yeah.
I'm watching what's happening economically, watching what's happening to jobs, watching what's happening to families and communities.
Yeah.
And the stress levels just keep growing. And that's just locally.
Yeah.
You compound that nationally and internationally.
It's true.
How do we get through this? And still, even though the landscape has changed tremendously for men, they get to exhibit more of their feminine side.
Yeah.
You can't really feel completely at liberty to do so.
Yeah. There's a lot in what you just said. I'll start with this way. I think, to your introduction, I think the stoicism and who men are, it still lives on. You know, my son is young. What's my role in making sure that he can be feminine? What's my role in making sure he can say, I don't feel well? And the answer is, how are you today? Fine. How was work today? Fine. I'm one of the worst offenders of that. And it's something that we've grown up with. And so the conversation about you're not alone is to feel comfortable and have that safe space to make sure you can have the conversation that says, you know, work was really bad today, or this happened to me personally. So that's part of the conversation that we really need to go forward with. The other part of it is, and I'm not going to say social media because that opens up a whole Pandora's box, but I'll say social media and technology. And as we feel in a certain age of us, and we're finding, you know, I won't say what age, but older people, whatever that looks like, are going to view things differently than 22-year-olds. And so when we talk about the economy, when we talk about jobs per se, you're going to approach it from a different perspective. I'm going to approach it from a different perspective versus a 19 or 20-year-old. And so as we talk about the creation of programs to support people and go down the conversation, it's about understanding the different layers that people approach it and understanding what drives their narrative. And sadly, the negative of social media is kind of the parasocial influence, that toxic masculinity that sits there that we as a society deal with wholeheartedly all the time. And there's never a positive side of that. And if you go forward and ask men about being masculine, there's even a negative to that whole word masculine, because if you're masculine, that must mean you're toxic. And that must mean that there's something negative. And yet, you know, I was made how I was made, and I can't apologize for that. I can absolutely determine my how I act and how I
your
interfere.
expression of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I can't keep apologizing for the fact that I'm a man. And that's the power negatively of social media. And that's another big driver for this conversation that we're trying to get a hold of.
So that's one aspect of it. You're a man, you're bad. Another one is you are a man and you really are bad.
Yes, correct.
Because there is toxic masculinity. But mixed into this and talking in social media, I see more and more of this celebrating the stoic, lone wolf, I don't need anybody. And the more I understand that, the stronger and more invincible I become.
Yeah.
And they've got these beautiful statuesque human beings that you go, wow.
Yeah.
And you go, well, I want to be that.
Yeah.
Well, you have all that mix in there.
Totally.
How do you then start to break through it? So when you look at the major issues, I mean, we've talked a little bit here about mental health and suicide. Is that the number one issue that is on men's health agenda? Or is it also a combination of, what are you doing to look after yourself?
Yeah.
Because if you're not looking after the body, then the mind starts to suffer.
It's true. I mentioned the first 6 months about our mental health tied, you're not alone. The last 6 months of our year focuses on physical strength. Our friend Trevor from the Canucks,
Lyndon.
big supporter of ours.
Yes.
And he does a lot of videos for us. And it's about getting into the physical side of your body and tied to your core. But there's always the mental capacity related to the two. So throughout the year, we're always connecting the two back and forth to make sure that we can focus on both. I think right now there is a lot geared to younger men and boys about their mental acuity, their mental health journey that I think is driving a lot of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And it's something that is obviously older people are not immune to it at all. But I feel it for us as an organization is how do we get in front of the tendencies as they grow in from teens into adulthood to give them a different perspective so that they're not going to follow in the perspective of toxic masculinity, to what we were talking about earlier, to get into the space of saying you're not feeling well and here's what it is physically or mentally. And doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean, I don't know if you've heard of the idea, don't throw like a girl. Hey, you're throwing like a girl. The very essence of that, and I grew up in a house where my sister, older than me, would throw better than me all the time. So I took that as thank you, I'm getting better.
Compliment. Yeah.
But you can imagine kind of the stereotype of that and what that does to the whole conversation. And what we're trying to get into as we look into researching and creating programs for younger men is this idea of men and women together, this idea of community, this idea of people, your network, whatever that looks like, supporting each other. And that's the starting point for us. So it is mental health, but you can't have strong mental health without a certain ability to be a better physical person. They're connected.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. I have noted in my own journey, I'll talk about my own health issues. 3.5 years ago, I was 60 pounds heavier than I am today. And the doctor said to me, well, you can lose weight or you're probably going to die. And I thought, how do I change? Well, I had to open up and I had to seek help. Yeah. And what I found is so fascinating is that just by consistently doing small things every single day, I started to have results. But I needed support. Because to try and do it on your own, I don't think I could have done it. But wow, what a refreshing realization that, okay, the changes are possible. I'm living proof of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so it's about you sharing your story as one of the most important parts of that.
So I'm embarrassed by it though.
Yeah.
Like I take a look at pictures of myself from 3 years ago and go, how did I let myself get that way? Yeah. Like you stop seeing it. And I let myself get to there. Yeah. I needed help to get out of it. Yeah. So
it's true. And that conversation that you've talked through, that's the essence of what we do, because it is about the conversation, to have it in an open way, an engaging way, but also prompt you down the road of taking action. We have a program called Health Check. Mm-hmm. And Health Check is about the 8 chronic diseases that men get as we tick along in age.
What are they?
Probably never heard of them before. Heart disease, diabetes, prostate cancer, low testosterone, endometriosis. It's a long list. And 70% of those diseases are avoidable through healthier eating that I mentioned earlier, exercise. So we wanted to go out a year ago and reach younger men because we thought, if you're 19 or 20, 21, probably you have a better ability to change your life to impact when you're 50, 60, whatever that case is when it hits. And so we went out and we came up with a campaign, a social media campaign, and we said, lower your risk. And a psychologist friend of mine said, who are you trying to reach? Lower your risk of what? Don't you remember, has it been that long, Kenton, when you were 21, 22? Lower your risk of what? Another night out, another hockey game, another relationship, or like, what is it? And he said, you're never going to reach young people. And we said, well, it's really critical because when you're 21, 22, eating an apple a day, that whole analogy and thought process is true.
Okay, quick sidebar.
Yeah.
Who coined that phrase?
Oh, no.
Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to write that down.
He was
a
a vegetarian.
That's right.
And he lived to the ripe old age of 72.
There you go. And then his time frame, that was old.
Old. Yeah.
So we came with this campaign and we reworked it. We said, build strength. Young people right now about building strength and muscle and be stronger. To what you said earlier about your way, you have the right way. Be strong. You're as an independent person. And so we took that and we went out and we partnered with a computer company. So we said, hey, win a gaming computer and build your strength. And guess what? Young people came in, they learned, they submitted themselves, and there's a questionnaire about who you are as a person, your family history, and it comes out the other side. It's totally stigma-free, it's private, it's up to you to do what you want with it. And you come out the other side that says, here are your risks of the 8 chronic diseases, do what you want with it. And we had a wonderful email back from the person that won it. And he said, thank you, because I did have mental health challenges diagnosed, physical, I'd given up. He was older, he was 42. And he thanked us because he won the computer and he took the test and he was going back to his doctor to make a difference in his life. And that took a gaming computer and some social media posts to make a difference in one person's life. And so when you look at what's happening right now, the phenomena that I often say, coming from my media background, started with Facebook. Facebook, way back in 2007, as it's come forward and kind of driven us down, thanks to algorithms and technology, down the road of, I'm going to stick with the people that I want and I believe are right. Those other people in that other group, they're wrong. They don't understand. I'm right. And that's kind of, I feel that's really pushed us down this road, tied to toxic masculinity of my way. Look at me, look at how strong I am physically. And that's one of the challenges we're trying to do right now is bring the research back to the science of technology that is the same and apply the science to say, if you live in Saskatchewan or BC, these are the words that you could use in your group. And these are the things you need to understand as an anecdote to technology.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. What does the Canadian Men's Health Foundation do to help bring men together so that they can actually benefit from this? Like, what's the interaction with resources and what's the interaction with other men?
So we have 2 functions right now. Most of it is digital. We plan a space. We could have in-person sessions in this city and that city across the country, and that's awesome. And then we flip that around to say people in Campbell River or northern BC or northern Saskatchewan, are they going to be able to come to some place for kind of a one-on-one conversation? The answer would be no, largely. And we're trying to expand our work and our footprint in the trades and skilled labor, as Canada talks about Build Canada, pipeline, no pipeline, mine. And so it's really about how do we take the technology and how do we use technology to reach the most number of people. Having said that, we have a group of researchers that have created a program for first responders. It's conducted here in BC. It has a 5-to-1 ratio. The organization is Blueprint. It's a 5-to-1 ratio for every dollar you spend, and right now it's largely been firefighters from BC, Vancouver area. We're getting some from different prairie provinces and a few coming up from the States now. This is a program that has been adopted in Australia. They've taken it further than we have because of funding challenges here. It's a 5-to-1 ratio. Every dollar that you spend to send somebody to this program saves $5 in healthcare costs. They're not missing time. They're a better parent, and this is for men and women. They're a better parent. They're a better spouse. They're a better boyfriend, girlfriend. They're a better person in society. And so it's a program, and you mentioned it earlier, about resilience. It's about Those moments when you had the best moment and you feel resilient and you feel you can tackle the stress and the strain of life. And that's the program, to get you back into that space and teach you how to become and remain resilient when you hit with higher anxiety is rising, stress is rising. One of our latest studies has 1 in 2 men socially isolated. That's hugely concerning to us as you look at suicide rate of men. 4,500 people will kill themselves in 2025. 75% of those are men. 80% of those are from the trades or skilled labor.
You also have a podcast, and that helps break down other barriers, because you actually get to hear stories. I was listening to one in preparation and go, these guys are openly talking about where they're at in life, the challenges that they faced and how that's impacted them, helping one another. Yeah,
it is. And we historically have had big names, little Kevin Bieksa, Trevor Linden, Kelly Rudy, a few of them, Simon Whitfield, different Olympians. And it's awesome to follow their journey and try to break it down of, you're this big successful person publicly, how is it privately? Kelly Rudy, if you know about his journey, is a really empathetic and really powerful person to talk about mental health and what it means to him. And so that's one layer that we've done historically. We're trying to alter a little bit, and we're trying to go after the every person conversation. And so we've got 2 fantastic people, Trevor Botkin and Mike Cameron. Mike goes over in Alberta, Trevor's on the island here in BC. And it's about their journeys. And it's 2 sides of the coin, one from a professional kind of white collar perspective and one from a blue collar perspective. And it's just about opening up the conversation. And through that, we're hoping that those conversations can spark other conversations. So somebody listening to it can go home and talk to somebody in their world or at work because they feel inspired. And that's partly what we're trying to do, is demonstrate. It's not about research. I come from the world of media. I can't spell research. It's not about that. It's about the impact the research can have on an emotional level to people. And that's where we spend a great deal of our time, taking the research and say, you could say tomorrow, here's $14 million, Kenton, for your organization to reach more men in Canada. I'd be like, awesome. And then you might say, how are you going to use that $14 million to reach men? It's back to content. It's back to videos to make sure we can take complex issues. This is another thing we're trying to do, and create videos. If you live in a world right now in social media that you might have 3 seconds to reach somebody, 4 seconds to reach someone, don't waste it, be clear. And so what's the video? And so these are the techniques that we as an organization are going down to make sure that we're doing everything we can. So every dollar that is donated, every way that we can bring in from a content or program perspectives, reaches that person right over there.
Well, I'm glad you're doing it, because in my life, I have gone from the spectrum of wouldn't talk to anybody. I was the stereotypical, no, I'm fine, to now appreciating, and it's partly because of this ongoing relationship that I've had with you, but also changes in my life and hearing this message. And I encourage you to keep going, and I want to be able to amplify the work that you're doing. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.